Hello, this is Dr. Mercola, and you know that 3 out of 4 people believe that their vision is their most important sense. This is probably related to the fact that 80% of the information we take in from our environment comes in through our eyes. Well, unfortunately, most of us, or many of us, don't have ideal vision and tend to resort to other interventions to help to restore that to the point that we can see better. And many people use eyeglasses, and I want to tell you now, if you don't know already, that that is not an ideal way to compensate for this, because eyeglasses were never designed to be the perfect solution. And part of this is related to the fact that when you have less than perfect vision, it is not a static process. In other words, your eyesight will change gradually, better and worse throughout the day. And what an eyeglass is it's a fixed correction, and it will partially correct, maybe ideally correct for it sometimes in the day, but the other times it's going to be off. So it's really not the perfect way to do this. And hopefully, if it's reasonably close to what the visual dysfunction is, you'll be able to see better. But invariably, with time, everyone who's wearing a corrective lens will worsen their vision with time, which is, it's not going to improve you. You'll just get worse. So, and this is true for contact lenses. It's also true, even worse, for LASIK. I don't have time to go into the specifics now, but for further down this page, there's additional information you can read to find out more about that. But interestingly, this is particularly tragic for children because in some countries, less than 2% of the children are wearing glasses, where in other countries it's over 50%. And there's been some researchers who studied this very carefully, and when they looked at these non-developed countries, over 200 of them, in which they were not eating large amounts of grains and refined foods, that less than 2% of the population was wearing glasses. And that the moment they started to introduce these foods into their diet, it radically started to increase, and the people started to lose their vision. So this is a major clue that our diet has something to do with it. And it's probably related to the fact that when you have these grains and sugars and processed foods, your insulin tends to rise, and that causes metabolic dysfunctions and insulin growth factors, and that seem to have an effect and an impact on your vision. But if you are a child, I believe it's particularly tragic because children tend to be the best group that responds most dramatically to these natural interventions, which we'll talk about in a moment. So some simple strategies you can do to limit the likelihood that your child will be wearing glasses would be make sure that they visit the right specialist, because if they're going to see a general optometrist or an OD, the likelihood that they'll be prescribed glasses is about 35%, 1 in 3 chance. If in fact they see an MD ophthalmologist, a specialist in eye diseases, that decreases to about 12%. But if they see a subspecialist, a pediatric ophthalmologist, the likelihood goes down to about 2%. So just by picking your specialist properly, you'll radically reduce the likelihood of your child going on glasses. So what are the options then? I mean, obviously you can improve the diet, as we mentioned, but there's many of us it's not going to be enough. And fortunately, about 100 years ago, there was an incredibly innovative, pioneering, renegade physician. His name was Dr. Bates. And he first started practicing about 1900, and for 30 years he compiled a number of incredible strategies and actually used an instrument called the retinoscope to do comprehensive physical examinations on tens of thousands of patients to support his findings and his recommendations. But he was able to help tens of thousands of people recover their vision completely without the use of any surgery or any glasses or corrective lenses. So it's just really astonishing. And in fact, his approach was so effective that in New York, where he was practicing, he actually attended Cornell Medical College. They actually made it illegal. The other eye care professionals actually lobbied the legislature there and made it illegal to practice the Bates method because they were afraid of the competition that he was providing. So in fact, it's still illegal today. But nevertheless, his books and materials are available. There have been a number of teachers who's taught this throughout the years, and literally there's probably hundreds of thousands of people who recovered their vision using this method, and I happen to be one of them. Interestingly, about 8 or 9 years ago now, I went on a health cruise, and we were sitting at a table, and most of us were older than, at least in the mid-40s, and there was about a dozen of us, and there was only one person at the table who didn't require the use of reading glasses to read the menu, and that person was 20 years older than everyone else. I thought that was astonishing, so of course I asked him about it, and he shared with me that he had actually received training 20 years previous to that with the Bates method, and had seen for the last 20 years did not require the use of glasses. I thought that was astonishing, so much so that when I got back home from the cruise, I quickly scheduled a visit and did the training. It cost me a few $1,000s, but it was one of the best investments I ever made, because now I rarely ever require the use of reading glasses. I keep them around for emergencies, because in very low light situations or very tiny print where I almost need a magnification to read it, I will require it. But I would say that's only a few times a year. So for the most part, I do not require the use of reading glasses. So it's really extraordinary, and really one of the best health strategies, interventions that I've ever done. And let me just share with you a few of those principles, because I think they could help you too. And the key is that it's not that your muscles are too weak, because many people, when they think of a natural health strategy, think, well, I'm going to do some type of exercise. I have weak eyes, I have to exercise my muscles. Well, that is absolutely not the case, because most of the time this visual dysfunction, this less than perfect vision, is a result of having muscles that are too strong. In fact, they're constantly contracted, they're tense, and they're under strain. And the key to improving that is to have this mental relaxation that goes through and causes those eye muscles to relax so that your eyes can function properly and they can have perfect focus. And that really is the central core of all the strategies to help you recover your vision, is this focus on relaxation. And it really is profound, because it has other benefits in your life, not just being able to see properly, but other benefits. Of course, many of you are familiar with benefits that relaxation strategies has from meditation and prayer and other approaches. So this is one of them, is that you can see better. Specifically, there's some little tips that you might like, and I think that you might find helpful. One of them is to understand that you typically do not want to squint. Now, when you're reading print that's hard to see, you'll tend to want to squint. Because why? Because it works, and you will be able to temporarily see a little better, but that is one of the worst things you can do. And if you find yourself or catch yourself squinting, you want to stop that immediately. And beyond that too, you want to notice any tension around your eyes. If you're reading on the computer screen or a book and you just notice that there's a little bit of a semi-minor squint there, you just want to consciously relax. So you do that all the time, check in to make sure that you're not doing that behavior, because that squinting is going to make your vision worse. And the alternative strategy that you can use if you need to see better for a specific print is to blink. Blink your eyes very rapidly, and that will help your muscles relax and will help you to focus, and you'll begin to see much clearer. Now, another strategy is that you want to avoid the use of sunglasses. That may sound like a contradiction, because if you're in the sun, you're going to want to squint. Well, you can easily compensate for that by wearing a hat or a cap, like I do. And this way your eyes will be in the shade, you won't be squinting. But if you wear glasses, pretty much any type of glass will filter out many of the beneficial wavelengths that are in sunlight. And there's at least 1,500 wavelengths that you need to nourish the retina. And if you're not getting those wavelengths, your eye health will be challenged. So that's clearly another benefit. Do not wear sunglasses. There are certain cases where you're going to want to do that, such if you're boating or if you're skiing on a bright sunny day on the slopes. You know that you're going to have way too much sunshine, so then it may be useful. But that's pretty much few and far between. Now, another approach that you can implement is when you're on the computer, and many of you use your computers regularly, that is to avoid the temptation to increase the size of the font. So it's easy to do, it makes it a lot easier to read, but unfortunately it's a really not a good approach if you want to preserve your vision and improve your vision, because you want to continuously challenge your vision with progressively tinier fonts. So that if you can see tiny fonts, of course you're going to be able to see the larger ones. So don't increase the size of your font. It's really easy to do if you're in a Word document or something. You just can make your enlarge your document from 100% to 150%, or a PDF document. And of course it's real easy to read, but it's going to worsen your vision, just like wearing glasses or corrective lenses will. So, seeing great without the use of corrective lenses is really, unfortunately, is the minority of us who do that. And typically and invariably, as people age and they get beyond the age of the mid-40s or so, most people require the use of reading glasses. It's very rare where someone doesn't. So, but the Dr. Bates method works for the people like myself who require reading glasses, but it also works for people who are nearsighted and need glasses for distance vision. So it's really an amazing set of tools. Please try the recommendations that are on this page, and if it's not improving your vision like you would like, I've felt so strongly about this, I actually put together a course that goes into more specific details that's available, and it's really an amazing resource, and it's helped thousands of people, this course, help recover their vision. So hopefully this information will be helpful for you and your family, because a great sight is such an important part of taking control of your health.